Disclaimer: this video is created for educational and informational purposes only. It should not be taken as financial, investment, or legal advice. Always conduct your own research or consult a qualified financial professional before making decisions related to money, debt, or investing. Debt. For most people, that word sounds terrifying. It means stress, bills, and late-night worries about how to make the next payment. But for the rich, debt isn't a burden. It's a tool. And that's the difference between how the wealthy think about money and how everyone else does. Let's start with what most people are taught. Debt is bad. Pay it off as soon as possible. Never borrow more than you earn. And yes, for bad debt, that's true. High-interest credit cards, payday loans, or financing luxuries you can't afford. Those are traps. They take money out of your pocket and give you nothing in return. But rich people don't fear debt because they use it differently. They don't borrow to consume. They borrow to create. They use debt to buy assets, things that generate cash flow and increase in value over time. That's the key difference. Imagine two people. One takes out a $20,000 loan to buy a new car. It loses value the moment they drive it off the lot. That's bad debt. Another person takes that same $20,000, borrows an additional $80,000, and buys a rental property that brings in $1,500 a month in rent. The property's value grows and the rent covers the loan. That's good debt. The first person gets poorer over time. The second person uses leverage to get richer. Leverage. That's the real secret. Wealthy people understand that money has momentum. If you borrow wisely and use other people's money, the bank's money, to buy income-producing assets, your returns multiply. It's not about how much debt you have. It's about what kind of debt you hold. Let's take real estate. Most investors don't buy properties outright. They use financing, mortgages, to control large assets with relatively small amounts of their own money. If a $500,000 property appreciates by just 10%, that's $50,000 in value. But if the investor only put down $100,000, that's a 50% return on their actual cash. That's the power of leverage. Now think about big corporations. Apple, Amazon, and Tesla all carry billions in debt, even though they could pay it off instantly. Why? Because debt is cheaper than cash. If a company can borrow money at 4% and reinvest it for a 10% return, that's smart business. Wealthy individuals do the same thing. They understand that when interest rates are low and inflation is rising, borrowing money can actually make you richer. Here's why. If inflation is 5% and your loan's interest rate is 3%, your real cost of borrowing is negative. You're paying back the loan with money that's worth less every year. While your assets, like property or investments, grow in value. That's how rich people think. They see debt not as a threat, but as a strategic weapon. But there's another side to it. Taxes. When regular people need money, they work, earn income, and pay taxes on it. When rich people need money, they borrow against their assets and pay no income tax on borrowed money. For example, imagine a millionaire with $10 million in investments. Instead of selling those assets and paying capital gains tax, they borrow $1 million against them. The bank happily lends it because the assets are collateral. The millionaire uses that money to live, invest, or buy more assets. And because it's a loan, it's not taxable income. Meanwhile, the loan's interest might even be tax-deductible. That's the game. You see, the rich don't just make money. They move money. They understand how to use the system to their advantage. And it's not about being unfair. It's about being informed. So, why do most people stay afraid of debt? Because we're never taught the difference between good and bad debt. We're told all borrowing is dangerous. But the truth is, it depends on what the debt is doing for you. if it's helping you buy appreciating assets, build cash flow, or increase your earning power, that's productive debt. If it's funding consumption, like vacations, luxury items, or anything that loses value, that's destructive debt. The mindset difference is huge. The poor see debt as a hole. The middle class sees it as a burden. The rich see it as leverage, a ladder to build wealth faster. But, and this is important, it's not without risk. Debt magnifies results in both directions. If your investments fail, you lose faster. That's why rich people also manage risk carefully. They protect their assets with insurance, diversification, and cash reserves. They use debt, but never recklessly. Here's the bottom line. Money is about control, not ownership. Debt lets the rich control more assets, grow faster, and minimize taxes, all while keeping their cash working elsewhere. So the next time you hear someone say, debt is bad, remember, that's only half the story. Debt is dangerous when you don't understand it. But when you do, it becomes one of the most powerful tools in wealth building. Tell us in the comments. Do you think debt can be good, or is it always a risk? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We post new videos every day to help you make money finally make sense.